Hell of the O, everybody. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 43. Andrew Eisen of the Wild Hare here, along with E. Zachary Knight.
Of
Hello,
the
Zachary.
Zelda hat.
Of the Wild
Not,
Hat, yes.
well,
I,
it's actually a Twilight Princess hat, but
there you go. I should probably wear a hat.
uh,
I have a bandana that I tie around this unruly mop when I'm in the gym because my hair is actually long enough now to get in my face, which is a new thing for me. So uh, it, I've heard people say you look like a biker to you look like a pirate. I'm like, yeah, it does look kind of goofy, but it does keep my hair out of my face. So that's
yeah.
nice. All right. So I think first thing is first. Did you watch the return of Attack on Titan?
No, I haven't.
No.
I don't really watch anime or anything, so.
Oh, is anime beneath you?
No, it's just I've tried watching a few series, but I guess I have bad luck picking them because none of them have ever really grabbed me, and it's just like I don't really have the inclination to go and watch all these other recommendations to see
Yeah,
if I like
it's
them.
true.
Like Full Metal Alchemist, Cowboy Bebop, and things like that always get recommended, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I keep recommending Urutsuki Doji, and people keep slapping me when they take me up on that. So, which if no one knows what that is, it's a hentai, it's a tentacle porn, but there is a story. There's totally story, lots and lots of story, and tentacle porn. Um, yeah, anime, like any other form of entertainment, most of it sucks. You know,
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, if you go into a library and look at all the books there, most of the books aren't really worth reading. You know, most movies aren't worth
Yeah.
reading. Most everything on television is not really worth your time to watch. So yeah, it can be difficult to find the shows that you are interested in. And I'll tell you what, when you see a lot of anime. The neat thing about anime from an American perspective is you will see a lot of new things, a lot of things you've
Yeah.
never seen before, especially in comparison to American animation. Um, but when you get old and jaded and you've seen it all, it stops being novel. And it gets harder
Yeah.
and harder to find interest. For example, one of the most derided harem animes is probably Love Hina. If you talk to most anime fans, they're like, "Oh God, that show's obnoxious." When I first saw it back in 2001 or two or something like that, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen a harem show that style. You know, one dopey guy surrounded by a bunch of women who,
Yeah.
for some reason, dig him, even though he's useless and a complete nincompoop.
Yeah.
And the style of the humor was just something I had never seen before. Um, so I've seen all of Love Hina. I actually own it. I have the manga too. I've read the whole thing. It's if it's your first harem anime, it's really interesting. If you've seen a ton of anime, it's stupid schlock that you've seen a million times before.
Yeah.
So, but
Huh. I don't know. If you guys want to, any of you viewers want to send me, anime recommendations, let's see. I'll give you an idea of stuff that I like, and it's not really anime like Japanese anime, but Ruby from the
yeah,
Rooster Teeth guys. I really enjoy that. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to think of other things that are comparable to it because I usually watch just superhero cartoons. I like Samurai Jack is another show I like, and golly, I'm
So
trying
it
to.
sounds like anime that might be a person or team of people who work together to achieve some common goal, like fighting against a bad guy or something like that.
Yeah, I guess.
And probably something that's not overly gory or rated M for mature or TVMA or whatever rating.
Yeah. I guess if you're gonna assign to like a rating to it, probably something more PG-13, TV-14 type stuff. Some I don't know. It's just like gory and sexualized stuff. Not really my thing, but yeah. Goodness, I'm trying to think of other stuff that I've watched that I really like that would fit an anime style theme. Yeah. But I will tell you some things that I didn't like. There's this Avengers anime cartoon that I tried to watch a few episodes of, and oh, was it terrible? It was like these kids, these
Was it
school
a
kids.
series or was it a
It was a
actual just a
series,
one-off
yeah.
show? Was it?
No, it was supposed to be a series, but I don't know how many episodes it's gone in. But it's like these kids have these medallions or something that turn them into Avengers superheroes. So like one kid has the Hulk medallion, another one has Iron Man, another one Captain America, and they turn into these blatantly anime looking renderizations of these Avengers superheroes, and I couldn't watch that. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
You like RPGs, right?
Yeah.
There's one show I saw, and I forget what the title is. The English title is something along the lines of "Is it okay to pick up girls in a dungeon?" Is it something like that? And I watched the entire show, and I fell in love with the world that it presents, because the conceit of the show is it takes place in a literal RPG world where there's this endless tower in the middle of town where adventurers get their party together and they go into the tower and they fight their way through levels, and there are boss monsters that respawn and loot drops, and they literally level up. I loved it was so apparent that the people who created the show had a genuine love and understanding of RPG mechanics and built an entire functioning world around it. The numbers that govern RPGs in our video games are an actual part of this world. And I found that really fascinating, even if I didn't really care for any of the characters or the relationships to each other. I found that all kind of your typical stuff. But I found the world really interesting and compelling.
Yeah, but I also like sci-fi television.
Oh, did I get the title right? Well, good on me.
Yeah, it's like Firefly, and Sci-Fi has a couple of series called one's Killjoys, which is basically a group of bounty hunters and their adventures, and then the other one is Dark Matter, which is these people wake up on a ship and they have lost all of their memories. And since they don't know who they are, they basically they're just like, okay, you woke up first, you're number one. You woke up second, you're number two, and then all the way through 6. And then it's the first season is them trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing on this ship. And then the second season, after they figure it out, they're trying to fix a few things that they were supposed to be doing. But I really enjoy those shows. So maybe something along those lines would be interesting.
Well, the chat, we have a mission, and it's find Zachary an anime that he'll like.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of recommendations for Psycho-Pass, so I'll have to check that one out. Hunter x Hunter. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. I've heard of Psycho-Pass in passing. But
yeah, Hunter x Hunter is, I think, the same guy who did Yu Yu Hakusho, which I really like. But the first episode of the show, which is the only episode I've seen of a very long show, didn't do it for me, so I never watched the rest. Yeah, there's some good stuff. Also, some folks talking about Breath of the Wild. 13U Cube just found the 120th shrine, which I think is the total number there. American 80s cartoons are better in your opinion? There was a lot of good cartoons in the 80s.
Yeah, there were some good cartoons. Like I love Masters of the Universe and golly, that's the only one. And Ninja Turtles.
And Robotech. Oh wait. Speed Racer. Oh wait.
Yeah, but it's 90s had some good cartoons too.
Mm.
Gargoyles was
Animaniacs.
excellent. The Animaniacs, yeah. It had
The Tick.
Batman the animated series,
Batman.
The Tick, Spider-Man, and the X-Men.
was great. Yeah.
All great. The X-Men last season is absolutely terrible.
Okay, Mask is not good, but I love it too. It's like Masters of the Universe. It's not a good show, but I was the right age that I have.
I was the right age.
Show.
I was the right age, and I was really into the action figures and everything. The 2000s remake of Masters of the Universe, I think they did a pretty good job updating it for modern audiences. You know, still they retold a few of the episodes and also told some new ones. So it was sad that it didn't last very long, though. Just not the right audience for it, I guess.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. I remember watching it going like, this is pretty good. This is a pretty solid update of a very corny 80s show.
Yeah. Yeah, The Real Ghostbusters, also an excellent series. Thundercats, I remember vaguely, but I don't have any strong memories of Thundercats.
Something
same
they
with,
also redid.
Same with Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron.
And I haven't watched the new Voltron series. I wasn't that big into Voltron when I was growing up, so I just it's on kind of my back list of things to watch right now.
Yeah. Kelly says she buried all my action figures in the front yard. Really, about half of my Mask figures, and I think one of our sets of Monopoly money is out there in the front yard, buried under a bunch of dirt and rocks.
My dad was one day he was tilling the garden to getting ready for planting.
Ooh,
and he actually tilled up two of my Masters of the Universe figures that I had lost at one point. One was the guy that split open and he was a bunch of snakes inside.
God,
I forget his name.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then the other one was this guy that just had guns all over. Like his chest popped open and there was a big gun there. He had guns that flipped out of his wrists, and that was one of the later figures where they were just trying to figure out new things to throw out there, because Fisto wasn't doing it apparently.
The Fisto, he had the. Yeah,
Fisto, the guy
who is the opposite, like Chop Suey or something ridiculous.
I don't know,
because they had Fisto on one side and a guy with like a silver or gold hand that did that.
Yeah,
on the bad guy's side, I think.
It was hilarious too, because the new series they tried to bring in they had an episode that was basically dedicated to Fisto, and it turns out he's Man-at-Arms' brother, and they didn't get along. Good stuff, though.
Ronan burned his brother's GI Joes at the stake. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So, moving to our first topic. Let's talk about Gearbox.
All right.
The studio behind wonderful games such as Duke Nukem Forever. Also, how long it took to develop. And Aliens, Colonial Marines. Games that were received fairly poorly, mainly because they both sucked.
Yeah.
Randy Pitchford will disagree with you on that point, but he's biased.
With the Aliens, Colonial Marines, that one, it was. I don't know how well the game played. I think it played pretty horribly. The AI was just absolutely terrible. But they also didn't. They didn't include any of the features that they promised at when they first announced the game.
Yeah, the E3 demo or wherever it was, that big presentation was not at all representative of what was in the final game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the game, the game really isn't that enormously terrible. It's playable. It's just not good.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
a
good. The
slightly
enemy
below
AI
average kind of
is
dull
pretty
game.
bad, and which yeah, when the AI is bad, especially in a game like Aliens, where you're supposed to be terrified of these things, and all the aliens do is just walk back and forth in a hallway, it's like that's not going to do any. It's not going to get you scared. It's not going to make you dread going up against these things.
So the reason I bring up Gearbox is because this week it was announced, I believe, within the last week or so,
Wednesday, this
Wednesday,
past
that
Wednesday.
it had partnered up with G2A, a digital distribution service that is known far and wide for being really shady and fraudulent in
Yeah.
that it sells keys that were fraudulently obtained, and then it has a service, a paid service that developers can purchase in order to help them track down these fraudulent keys.
Yeah. Well, and they also have another paid service that it's basically insurance against buying a fraudulent key. So
Mhm.
if your key gets revoked, if you've bought this insurance, they'll help you get a new key, which is likely to get
Which
revoked.
is on top
And
of already a subscription for the service or something like that anyway, isn't it?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
basically they facilitate fraud, and then they charge both consumers and developers for protection against the fraud, and it's not a good combination.
yeah. So this week, Mr. Biscuit, Mr. Total Biscuit, who is a person that exists.
Yep.
I'm really sorry. I have no idea who this guy is or what he does. I've heard the
John
name over and
Bain
over.
and Total
John
Biscuit.
Bain's his name. I
Yeah,
guess I don't think, does he have a
he's a
YouTube channel? Is
YouTube
he a
yeah
game
he's a
reviewer,
YouTuber,
industry
and
commentator? What's he do?
he's a game reviewer, and he also rants about game industry news and stuff. So
Okay, so he's a game reviewer and game industry commentator. Okay, cool.
yeah.
I don't know where his show is. I've never listened. Back in the game politics days, occasionally someone would link us to, in the shoutbox, would link us to a SoundCloud, like 7 to 8 minute clip of him talking about something. And
Yeah.
all I can really say about the man is he's got a genuinely lovely speaking voice. Other than that, I don't listen to his show, so I don't have much. But he's been leading the charge on this whole Gearbox and G2A kerfuffle, and basically said, "I will stop covering Gearbox." I read this quote somewhere, like on Kotaku or Gamasutra or somewhere.
Yeah.
That John Bain, Mr. Total Biscuit, says, "I will stop covering Gearbox's stuff unless they distance themselves from the crappy G2A." And my first thought was, is that, who are you? Did you cover their stuff? Would that matter? Are you that big? Is he like really big? I guess he is, because because Gearbox actually responded. How big is Mr. Biscuit?
Well, let's see. I'm
And I
pulling up
don't
his
mean
Twitter
this in any
channel.
demeaning way. I genuinely,
He
he's
has
my
728,000 Twitter followers.
wow.
And
Well
let's open
done.
up his YouTube channel and see how many subscribers he's got.
I'm guessing more than me.
Probably. I think he has more than you and I combined.
There we go.
So, which
So
isn't saying much, because I have like
10,000,
20.
you have 20, so 10,020. Okay.
I'm pulling up his YouTube channel. My internet service is so slow.
I like Laxter here. How big is the biscuit? Did you ask?
Oh, 2.25 million subscribers.
2.25 million. Okay, so a very notable and big presence on the
on
game
Twitter
industry
and YouTube.
Just not one of the ones I pay attention to. Maybe I should. I don't know. Probably not going to, because I've got anime to watch, I guess. Anyway, so after this, Gearbox said, okay, our new game. This whole thing was a partnership between Gearbox and G2A to sell their new Bulletstorm game. Bulletstorm? Is it Bulletstorm? Yeah, Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
So,
Which is kind of weird because that's the name of a genre.
yeah. So, well, Bullet Hell is.
Or
So,
Bullet. Yeah.
Gearbox spokesperson comes out and says, "Okay, we have a list of demands for G2A before Bulletstorm launches on Steam. We require G2A to make a public commitment to, within 30 days, G2A Shield, the customer fraud protection, is made free instead of a separate paid subscription service." It will, within 90 days, it will open up a web service or API to certified developers and publishers to search for and flag for the immediate removal of keys that are fraudulent, free of charge. Within 60 days, implement throttling for non-certified publishers and developers at the title, user ID, and account payable levels for fraud flagging process to protect content providers from having large quantities of stolen goods flipped on G2A before they can be flagged. And within 30 days, restructure its payment systems so that customers who wish to buy and sell legitimate keys are given a clear, simple fee structure that is easy to understand and contains no hidden or obfuscated charges, joining the ranks of other major marketplaces. Okay,
right.
So Gearbox and G2A partner up. Mr. Biscuit says, "No, you don't." And they're, "Oh, crap, Mr. Biscuit said no. So we demand G2A follow these lists of things before we release Bulletstorm, or we're pulling out." Well, Bulletstorm came out, and apparently G2A did announce to a couple of journalists who asked them that they are in talks with Gearbox. But Bulletstorm came out, and Gearbox has not publicly announced anything. So Gearbox has said, "Okay, we are going to begin removing ourselves from this partnership." Never gave an actual time frame on that or anything,
Yeah.
but apparently they're removing themselves, which is fine, because I've never looked into this myself, but from a lot of people I have trust, G2A is really shady and is in the business of, some really anti-consumer rackets and anti-developer too.
Yeah, and looking at this list of demands that Gearbox has made, I have seen every single one of these demands made. Like, it's just people, developers mainly, who are tired of G2A crapping all over their service, their game, like, their sales, I guess. And I've had read some articles from some very, very intelligent indie game developers specifically, who have basically said every single one of these. And apparently it takes somebody like Gearbox to get G2A to listen, and not the 2,000 indie developers that are struggling because of G2A fraudulent sales.
Well, apparently G2A hasn't done anything, though, so...
Yeah, and they haven't, and they're likely to maybe implement one of these, but the thing is they make a ton of money from their fraud protection, so making that go free, that's not likely to happen. The open web service or API for certified developers, that one... I could see them trying for it, but I don't think it's going to happen in 90 days. Something like that would take quite a while to fully develop and test and make sure it's all working. So maybe we'll get that one in, like, I don't know, 120, 180 days, somewhere around there. But and along with that, I guess they could probably go with the 60-day or the throttling for non-certified developers, but the payment structure stuff and the fraud protection stuff, I don't think they're going to
fraud 13U cube, not frog. Fraud protection. Although we do need to protect our frogs. Yeah. That's interesting. Now, where this actually gets silly is if you have ever read interviews with Randy Pitchford, he's very protective of his work and what he's done. He, not to too terribly badmouth anyone, but he has, in my observation, the habit of throwing everyone else under the bus. Passing the buck, blaming everyone but himself for things that he's responsible for that aren't well accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes with this, because found over on Twitter, Mr. Pitchford says, after saying that I just learned about this, the entire G2A slash Gearbox promotion thing. I just learned about this. I find that kind of hard to believe, but okay. He goes on to say, my understanding is that the developer, People Can Fly, wanted to try something with those guys. Did not start as a Gearbox publishing initiative. Gibson, who is, who was he? He's head of publishing at Gearbox, Steve Gibson. That's who that is. Yeah. He says, Gibson and I are very happy and ready to kill whatever arrangement there is with those guys if they do not play nice. That my only misgivings about this seem to be, I seem to be last to hear, is that I worry we are teaching it's best to put us on blast, put us on notice rather than on blast. Some damage from the blast effect cannot be undone, no matter how good and useful we are in the fight. So, once again, Randy Pitchford is blaming he's like, oh, I didn't even know about this, man. I just heard about it. It was the developer. Gearbox had nothing to do with it, even though Gearbox is the one who announced the relationship with G2A in the first place.
See, this is one of those things that that always strikes me as odd, and one of the things that towards the end of the Obama administration, several times you would hear the phrase that Obama didn't even know about this until he read it in the news, or something along those lines. And this is what this sounds like. It's like I'm the owner of the CEO or whatever of this publishing company, and I'm in my company is in charge of promotion of People Can Fly games. But we didn't have any idea what they were doing. It's like, what if you have no idea what your developer is doing with the game you're publishing? What services are you actually providing that developer if you don't know what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, and he does this stuff all the time, like with the when people called him on the Aliens Colonial Marines presentation not being reflective of the end product. He says, "Oh well, I didn't have anything to do with the with that. That was totally someone different. We had no say in how it was marketed." I'm like, that just once I would like to see Randy Pitchford go, you know what? We screwed up on this. We're going to work to make it better. Be like, okay, take responsibility for the stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Our chat is like, yeah. Yeah. Aren't publishers the ones who would hash out how the game is distributed?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Kratos points out that he stole the asset. There is that allegation he stole the assets from Code Hunters to make Borderlands. There's a controversy about some company not getting paid, someone ripping someone off with like every project the man works on. Maybe this guy's like really unlucky, or maybe there's something here. Zachary, you need a new webcam. You look like an old Asian kung fu movie.
Maybe, yeah. I do need better lighting in here, and the webcam's not so bad. It's just that my internet service speeds is probably making my my webcam look terrible, and also all kinds of laggy in movement and everything. So I don't know. My laptop is, let's see, how old is it? I think I got it in 2008. I want to say maybe 2010. I can't remember. It's pretty old, but
Matthew,
I would like
think there's something there. You don't think it's bad luck that controversy and allegations of duplicitousness follows the man wherever he goes and every project he works on? I mean, Borderlands is pretty good, wasn't it? At least. I didn't play it, but I hear a lot of people like it.
I hear a lot of people liked it. Yeah, it's not my type of game, but I hear a lot of people liked it. So, yeah.
All right, so let us move on to a new topic, and that new topic is Persona 5, which I have not played. I've never played any. The closest
I've never played a Persona game either.
Closest I've ever been is Shin Megami Tensei. I'm sorry, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is what it's called. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's as close as I've gotten to the Shin Megami Tensei or Persona series. Although the game does look stylish as all get out, so I am interested in trying it. Not $60 interested, but
movies with your cat apparently.
Oh man, I want it even more now. That sounds amazing. So I was over on Atlus's site, and this is a Atlus game and a Sega game. And there's a blog post called A Note on Persona 5 and Streaming. I said, oh. And the first couple of paragraphs are, oh, it's a big day, and where Persona 5 is finally out in the West, and we're so proud of it, and we hope you love it, and everyone is awesome. We worked really, really hard on it, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's fairly long, but I want to go through this because this gets weird by the end. It says, okay, let's talk Persona 5 streaming and video. Simply put, we don't want the experience to be spoiled for people who haven't played the game. Sure. Our fans have waited years for the game to come out, and we really want to make sure they can experience it fully fully as a totally new adventure. Please read our video streaming guidelines below. Okay, don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played the game. Reasonable so far. Please do not post any specific plot points or story spoilers, and only talk about the game in broad strokes. Good example, the game deals with dark themes right off the bat with a lecherous teacher and other corrupted individuals. Bad example, players immediately run into trouble with the pervy teacher, beep, whose actions go so far as to cause beep. You're more than welcome to talk, show confidence, the new combat, the Velvet Room, the dungeons. The Velvet Room, huh? That sounds interesting. The dungeons, etc. Please keep in mind that as a singular story playthrough, viewers are highly wary of spoilers. In-game content. Please limit video content through the in-game date of July 7th. So far, so good. They're asking nicely. It's a story-centric game. A lot of people are sensitive about spoilers. Don't be mean about it. We're asking you nicely because be considerate. So far, so good. All right. So they talk about video content next. You can post however many additional videos you like, but please limit each to be at most 90 minutes long. I think we can all handle that, and it's just a friendly request. No major story spoilers, and I'll leave that up to your good judgment. Hey, thanks for trusting us. It's always great when you treat your audience with respect. If you need some guidelines, if you need some guidelines, they're just saying if you do, avoid spoiling the ending segments of the first 3 palaces. While you can show initial interactions with Yusuke, avoid his awakening scene and that whole deal about the painting. Also, don't post anything about a certain student investigator. I know I mentioned not showing the end of each palace, but you can grab footage from the Kamoshida boss fight. However, don't capture video from the other major boss fights. Must not focus solely on cutscenes, animated scenes. Should predominantly feature dungeon crawling, spending time in Tokyo. You can post straight gameplay or have commentary. It moves on. So far, so good. This is all great. I'm with them so far. Here's where they start to lose me. This being a Japanese title with a single playthrough story means our masters in Japan are very wary about it. Whoa, the tone just shifted there a bit. Our masters in Japan? Whoa, what? Okay. Sharing is currently blocked through the native PS4 UI. I've heard a lot of reviewers talk about this. You can't share screenshots or video with the PS4 share button. It's locked off for everything. Okay, goes on. However, if you do plan on streaming, video guidelines above apply except length. This next part is all in bold. If you decide to stream past the in-game date of July 7th, and this part's bolded and in all caps, I highly recommend not doing this. You have been warned. You do so at the risk of being issued a content ID claim or worse, a channel strike. /account suspension. That being said, Persona 5 is a super special case for us, and we're in an ongoing discussion about how our policies may evolve in the future. Thanks for reading, and good luck in the metaverse. It's like, oh my god, what happened at the end there?
Yeah, this is okay. First, I'm going to say that you were saying the date wrong. Considering this is a Japanese company, it's most likely the 7th of July, not July 7th.
Oh.
But yeah, considering they're both sevens, it doesn't really matter. But if it were 8/7, it wouldn't be
August
7th. It would be the 8th of July. But yeah. just being a little pedantic there, but okay. But so a lot. I've seen a lot of these video content recommendations from other companies, and a lot of it makes sense. You know, especially when it comes to the spoiler aspects and the cut scenes and stuff. You know, they don't want gamers to accidentally come across a spoiler.
Right, especially since most of this blog post is phrased as a, if you would be so kind, if you would be considerate to other players and not post major story spoilers, that would be great. Okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah. And that all makes sense. But the fact that they it's the streaming thing that really weirds me out here, because they've got the video content recommendations and then the streaming thing, because with the video content it says please limit video content through the in-game date of the 7th of July. But then in streaming content, they basically tell you better not, or we are going to attack you. And it's like, well, what in the world is the difference? It also reads
that it's like, please don't do that. Our masters in Japan will try to kill you. They'll send ninjas. It's like, do you really think that's you're? Oh man, it feels like Atlus was forced to say that. Like this is a Sega thing, not an Atlus thing, and it feels wrong for Atlus. They almost never do anything like this. So I'm guessing. And it seems pretty likely that this is a Sega thing. It says, don't you tell them not to stream the game because it'll hurt our profits. And you know what I would love? I would genuinely love if game companies would treat us gamers with enough respect that they would be confident that if we're concerned with story spoilers, that we wouldn't watch a damn stream of the game.
Exactly.
You know, if I'm a gamer who wants to play Persona 5 and hey, I am, and don't want the story spoiled, and I don't, I have just simply not watched anyone stream the game. I'm waiting for the game to drop in price, and I'll buy it and play it and probably like it because it sounds great.
Yeah. But, see, and it's like I'll watch a few trailers and stuff, but I have no interest in Let's Plays, to be honest. I've tried watching some, and it's just, even games that I've actually played before and enjoyed, I don't really have a lot of patience to just sit there and watch somebody else play a game. And but interesting things like maybe
Boulder fast travel in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah, interesting things. Like if you've got a clip of something interesting going on in a game, yeah, I'll watch that. I'll watch. Golly, what are those called? Where they speed through the game as fast as possible. I just
speed run.
Completely blank speed run. Speed runs. It's like, why couldn't I think of that?
Run speedily, yeah, speed run.
Yeah, speed runs. I'll watch some of those, especially I like the glitch runs because I like to see what people do to glitch the game in order to get past it. I watch this one. There's a developer up in Tulsa that I know. His name's Matt Harmon, and he worked for the company that made The Mask video game based off the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey.
Right.
And he worked as a developer on that game. And he actually got shown a speedrunning hack or glitch run that he didn't even know about. There's one level, there's an attack that you can use that like creates this giant horn with multiple horns coming out of it, and there's this level where you start on one side of a wall and the exits on the other side of the wall. And a bunch of speedrunners found out that you could just use that attack and it would trigger the hitbox on the exit and just suck you right into the exit. So that kind of stuff is fun. I like that.
It's a lot of fun watching someone speed run in front of the game's developer and watching the developer go, "Oh my god, I had no idea you could do that." It's like, "Oh, we forgot to put an invisible wall there."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, wait, did you know that if you crouch against a wall and take out an item at the same time as standing up, you'll actually be forced through the wall? It's like, nope. How did you figure that out? There's a lot of great stuff in speedrunning. And actually, they just announced the lineup for the Summer Games Done Quick thing. And what surprised me, my first thought was, there's definitely going to be a
Desert
Breath
Bus
of the Wild.
one of them?
No, but there's definitely. I was like, there's definitely going to be a Breath of the Wild speedrun. I went through the list. I'm like, no, really? But they've already got it down to like 52 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. I've read that some people have like just sped through the game. They figured out the exact sequence of events they need to do to finish the main story, and then they've done it. And it's like, really?
Well, basically, you need to do a few things on the plateau to get the paraglider thing to get off the plateau, and then you just run on over to the to Ganon's castle and go beat Ganon in the face
with a stick,
and in your underpants. But as soon as they figure out how the hell to get off the plateau, like, I don't know, roll off the side and land on a horse, that will allow you to get off the plateau without dying, or something weird like that, they're going to cut about half an hour off of that time.
Yeah.
That's right. Matthew points out that Nier Automata, is in the speed run. That's going to be interesting. Although I really, that's a game that didn't appeal to me in any of its advertising, but everyone says it's fantastic, and I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. Yeah. Kind of like the movie Colossal, the Anne Hathaway giant monster movie. None of the advertising was appealing to me, but every film critic I know is like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing!" I'm like, really? All right, I'll go see it. Came out yesterday, and I looked at the times, and it's not playing anywhere near me. I would have to drive about 90 miles to see it. Like,
holy cow! Yeah, that's a wrinkle then.
Yeah, so I would have to drive. LA and Hollywood are the two closest places to me.
Wow.
Movie. I'm like, it's.
I've actually wanted.
I thought it was a wide release. I didn't realize it was limited.
Yeah. I for that one I saw I saw the premise of it and saw a couple of trailers, and I'm like, that might be fun to watch, and because it's like it's something that I don't think I've ever seen before in a giant monster movie, but definitely looks fun.
We're going to move on to a slightly different topic here. Still Persona 5, but a slightly different topic. Now, Persona 5 retails for the standard AAA video game price of $60, which is more than I'm willing to pay. But Persona also has a metric crap ton of DLC. And a third of it is actually free. And there's some really good stuff. For example, for free is the Japanese audio track. And if that's what it sounds like, you can play the game with the Japanese voices and stuff. That's great. And it's free. It sounds like one of those things that we didn't have room for both audio tracks on the disc. So, download the Japanese track to your hard drive and you can play with that. Unlike the Switch, where you have all the languages and stuff on the cart, and you can switch between them, but you can't. Well, if you switch your account, you can actually listen to the Japanese voice track, but you're going to have all Japanese subtitles too. So it's like, and everything's right there, and you got how could Nintendo? Gosh, some stuff that sounds like fluff, like a healing item set and a skill card set. Sounds like they've just given you some goodies. New difficulty level. It's free, but it's like a difficulty level. Why are we downloading a difficulty level? Here's a weird one. Regular clothes and school uniforms costume set. Are they
Okay.
It sounds like stuff that would be in the game already. I mean, is it like the regular clothes that they already wear? Why am I downloading stuff that's already in the game? It's free though, so whatever.
Maybe it's just a poor description, and it's talking about
Yeah.
like street clothes,
Yeah,
like a
maybe
t-shirt
it's
and
yeah, it could be
thing,
completely
or
different clothes. Don't really know. There's two car stickers. I don't know if you get a car in the game and can decorate it with decals or whatever. There's a swimsuit costume set, a maiden butler costume set, and Christmas costume set. And dress up mode is the best part of any game, so I love this stuff. It's free. I'm not sure why it's not on the game. Maybe they ran out of space or something. Whatever, it's free. Hey. But there's a lot of DLC that's not free. Now, and a lot of it is costume sets. Uh, for example, there's costume sets from Persona 2, 3, 4, Shin Megami Tensei 4, Devil Summoner, and Catherine, that weird puzzle game from several years back. Now, Zachary, in the game, your team, your party is 4 people. Well, 3 and a cat, I think. And so each of these costume sets is a new outfit for each of your 4 characters. So 4
yeah.
costumes, 1 for each of your 4 characters. How much do you think a single costume set is worth? 1 new costume per person
For
for 4
each
costumes.
character.
Yeah. It should be
99
free. It
cents.
should be in the game, but
Yeah.
if you had to pay for it, what do you think it would cost?
99 cents.
Well, you got the 99 part right. It's $6.99.
That's ridiculous.
$6.99. You know how many of these? There's 10 of these.
Wow. So you're paying $69.90 for that's more than the game. Holy
that's
cow.
not all. There are also what are called Persona sets, which I haven't played any of these games, so I'm not completely clear on what these are, but the item descriptions make it sound like these are basically summon attacks you summon monsters to attack for you, and these are monsters from previous games, I'm guessing. So the Thanatos and Thanatos Picaro Persona set, and the Magatsu Izangi and Magatsu Izangi Picaro set Persona set, which looks like the same thing, just with a palette swap. Each of these, and there's 9 of them, cost $2.99. So there is $96.81 worth of DLC for this game.
So something you can use in battle,
yeah.
I'm assuming, costs less than something that's just
cosmetic,
pure visual flair, cosmetic. Yeah.
Oh, I should also mention that most of these costume packs come with a music set. So they like the Persona 4 costume pack comes with a battle theme song from Persona 4. So it comes with 4 costumes and a music track, which is great, but still $6.99. There is, to me, this should all be in the game. Dress up mode is great. This is cool, goofy stuff that you should be able to unlock in the game. This is not stuff I should not have to pay an extra $100 on top of the $60 I pay for the game in order to get cool costumes and stuff. And I know some of it is free, but this is, to me anyway, this is obnoxious.
Yeah, and it is. I would never buy anything like that. My kids, though, I guess they play Minecraft on the PlayStation 3, and they've used their allowance and stuff to buy skin packs and textures and level packs and stuff, and they have a lot of fun with it. And so the game cost us $20, and I think they've spent a total of like $40 on skin packs and terrain textures and stuff. Maybe more than that, but hey, it's their allowance. It's what they can do. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are willing to spend $90, $100 on this DLC, but man, is it not for me. I'm not at all that interested. Well, I'm looking back at older games, and I'm just trying to think, it's like, what would Final Fantasy VI be like if the hidden espers were actually DLC? So you got the story espers, but all of the hidden ones you had to pay $2.99 each to get. That would tick me off. And same for other games too. But man, yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy who you say DLC, I'm like, oh. When you say paid DLC, to me, what you're saying is the game costs more than the retail price because I group that all together. I am now factoring in $100 worth of DLC into the price of the game. Um, and I'm certainly not paying $160 for a video game.
Yeah.
And also, this $7 for one cost. Maybe if it was $7 for all of this stuff, you'd be like, oh, all right, it's a fair amount of this, dress up stuff.
Yeah.
But come on, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, and I look at this too. When I think of DLC, like paid DLC, I think of things like I'm brought back to the olden days of expansion packs,
yes.
where you got Warcraft 2, and then later on you spent another $20-$30, whatever, and got um, um, the the new pack or the new level pack with I think like 10 levels for each, humans and orcs, and then same thing with StarCraft. You get the Brood Wars as an expansion, and other games. That's what I consider worth it, because it's almost like a sequel, but you can play it alongside of the base game, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
And but a lot of DLC today are just stupid things like costume packs or extra abilities or whatever.
Yeah. The stuff that we used to get for free, which
For
kind of
free,
answers
yeah.
Laxter's questions. Would the games have cost more back then in comparison to today's price, though? No, because they didn't. Old gamers like us remember when all this crap used to be in the game,
Yeah.
not sold back later.
Yeah.
If these games were just like bigger, and this is not every game, but of course, but a lot of the times the DLC feels like stuff that years back would have been in the game in the first place, not sold to us later. Anyway, Matthew says something interesting a little earlier. Where did he say Nintendo would have to pay again to use the Japanese voiceover in the West, as did Atlus? If that's true, they really need to renegotiate their contracts because that's stupid. Also, the voice Atlas's, unless Atlus is completely eating the cost, or Sega is, or someone, the Japanese track is free. Also,
Yeah.
it seems kind of weird that Nintendo gets around. I mean, the Japanese voiceover is on the cart here in the West. You can listen to it if you just change the language setting or the account setting on your Switch. You can still hear it. And is that really a legal workaround? I mean, if they allowed you to switch the subtitle track, then they'd have to pay extra for. That's weird. Now, that may actually be the case, but that's really weird. What you really need to do is like renegotiate your contract with your voiceover artist to say, look, this is how much we're paying you to do a voice for this game, which we are going to sell worldwide. Period.
Yeah.
We're not paying you, for Japan, for Germany, for the rest of Europe, for Australia, for America, for Canada. No, this is how much we're paying you for the work. You're not getting paid multiple times for the same work, unless you have some back end royalty thing.
Yeah, of course they're
nonsensical,
likely,
especially since most of the other regions aren't going to hear you anyway.
Yeah, and they're not like it's likely that they're not negotiating with individual voice actors or even a voice acting company. It's more likely it's a guild or a union that they're negotiating with.
Very
and
likely.
and they don't have control over when they can renegotiate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, be like with the Screen Actors Guild here in the U.S. With SAGFRA. They would have to convince the union leaders and then convince all the union members to vote in favor of that, and that's not likely to happen. So yeah, it really sucks, but it's probably just all a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that prevents them from doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that you have to manually change your system settings to hear that voice track is technically a workaround, because you're not breaking the contract, because it's the user changing it, like forcing that change, rather than you providing that an easy change. And yeah, it's kind of annoying and stupid, and
yeah.
But oh well,
that's nonsense. Anyway, Matthew, if you have any like links to news stories that show that this is actually in fact the case, because I've heard nothing on this. That this is all speculation, so far as I've heard. So if you have any links, I'd be interested in reading up on this. So moving on, and last topic, because we're at 8 o'clock almost. So I would like to talk about early access games, which by early access I mean pretty much every game that's coming out today seems to be treated like an early access game, because companies, both large and small, are releasing games and then fixing them a week or two or 3 or 4 or whatever later with patches. We saw this with Breath of the Wild. Nintendo's doing this now. Breath of the Wild came out, had a inconsistent frame rate, and Nintendo released a patch, I think within the last week, that has helped smooth out the frame rate.
Yeah.
So if you have logged 200 hours into the game,
you can now play it in a decent frame rate.
You just logged 200 hours into an inferior experience. If you would have waited a couple weeks, you would have had a better, smoother experience. Mass Effect Andromeda was a huge, expensive game that came out with a lot of crappy animations and posing and lip syncing and weird characters like clipping through each other and weird transitional animation mistakes, like the KI system just completely broke. And not Microsoft, EA has come out and said, EA and BioWare have said that, we're going to be releasing patches to continually improve the game. It's like, well, I just dumped 60 hours into the game. How about I just wait until you're done fixing the game and then I'll play it? Snake Pass is another one that Snake Pass and I think Fast RMX both came out with bugs that had the rumble motor on too high, to the point where it was people were turning it off because it was like, and they're like, oh my god, turn that off. And it's like,
wow,
how did that escape QA? How did that even get in the game in the first place? So now both Snake Pass and what was the other one? Fast RMX have both had patches to fix that. Snake Pass also had patches to fix some visual stuff. All the Hamsters Neo Geo Arcade Classics games had a patch come out to fix the colors in the game, because when they first came out, they were all really dull and washed out. This is the kind of stuff I expect with early access. I expect the game to be done when I spend $60 full retail price for a game. This really irritates the hell out of me. This basically, see, now I'm sitting here going, well, I'm glad I haven't bought Breath of the Wild yet, because they're obviously not done making it. I'm happy to just sit here and wait until they're actually done making the game, and because I don't want to spend full price for a game and play through an inferior experience and then have it be fixed or improved, because then I feel like I've just wasted my time and money, and I don't really want to play through the game again just so I can play it the way it should have been released. Now again, patches are fine for making games is hard. We all know that. Sometimes bugs happen. I mean, even Legend of Zelda, which one was it? I think it's Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, has this like room with a cannon where you can get trapped in there. The game will completely soft lock if you do steps in a certain order. This was before the days of patching, though.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't do this and you won't get trapped in the room and have to reload an earlier save. That's the kind of stuff that patches should be for. Not, we released the game with a crap frame rate and broken animations and characters falling through floors and stuff, and we'll just fix the game eventually or as we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of those things that growing up, we both grew up in the days of cartridges where games were released and that's what you got. Occasionally, a second printing or a third printing will have uh, bug fixes applied to them. And so, like Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo, earlier cartridges had some bugs in them that later cartridges didn't. But very few games got that treatment because not that many games sold past their initial printing, and so there was no need to do that. So yeah, there's games back then that had bugs in them, but
Yeah.
they weren't terrible because they actually tried to make sure that they got all the game-breaking bugs
They were
fixed
usually
before they were
isolated things that
released.
you had to do something pretty specific to
Yeah,
encounter. The stuff I'm talking about that they're fixing is stuff that you encounter by playing the game.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
And this is one of those things that into the 90s when the internet started becoming a thing, you saw PC games being released in this way where you bought the game and then several months later a patch would come out and you would have to apply that patch. One of the earliest games that I can think of is Warcraft, the original one. There's on the human campaign, there was a level where you had to go and rescue your peasants because you didn't start off with any peasants, okay? And you had to go and rescue some that were captured by the orcs. Well, there was a bug in the game that when you went and claimed a peasant, it would trigger this massive wave of orcs that would attack your units, and you would basically lose the game. And Blizzard had to patch that out of it later on. And so, yeah, you got patches like this, but again, they were things that might not have gotten caught. But that one was actually a game-breaking bug, so I don't know how it didn't get caught originally. But so games started, PC games started getting a little lazier and lazier and lazier as things went on because the internet enabled that behavior. They're like, oh, we can release it and fix these other bugs later on. We don't have,
And with
we don't want to delay the game. And then when the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 came out, developers got that ability to do that for console games, and then we spiraled downhill from there, and it's an absolute horrid experience.
And I understand that there's a lot of money on the line. You got to please investors. You got to please the publishers. Sometimes you have to make it out for Christmas. I understand that. That's the reality of the world we live in. I get that, and I do begrudge that, but I at least understand it. But Mass Effect came out in early March, I think, earlier mid-March, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it came out just a week or two ago, or yeah, something like that, a couple of weeks ago.
The first patch hit, I think, in the last week, which means either that they've known this was an issue and they've been working on this for like 6 weeks or however long since it's gone gold, or they released it and said, "Oh, people really aren't gonna take that. You better fix it." And it only took them 2 weeks to make the patch.
Yeah.
And if it's the case of it only made you, did Mass Effect Andromeda really need to come out in March? If it would it really have killed EA or BioWare to delay it by 3 weeks just to fix the animation stuff that they seem to have patched up really quickly? And I get the feeling that these patches really aren't taking that long, because on the PC side of things, especially when Warner Brothers makes a PC port, and I forget that there was a big PC port within the last 2 weeks that came out and was phenomenally broken, like was missing some of the most obvious things, like the ability to have a full frame game or change your resolution or alt tab, or stuff you expect. I think it seems Nier Automata had some weird thing in its PC port where like the game was squished. It wouldn't fill
Yeah.
the screen correctly. And some person, some gamer in their house somewhere wrote a mod to fix this within a couple of days. And it's like, if we gamers by ourselves can fix this stuff, can fix your broken, buggy games in under a week, I'm pretty sure your team of 100 plus developers can do it. So do it.
Yeah.
Why would you ever release such an incredibly broken product on the PC? When it's apparent, maybe there are just a bunch of unsung geniuses out there in the PC gaming community, and who are just so far beyond everyone who actually works in the AAA game space. Or maybe AAA developers are lazy, or maybe publishers are saying, "Okay, you're done." It's like, whoa, 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 whoa! You can't even alt tab yet. It's like, someone will write a mod to fix it. Yeah, Matthew, yeah, it was in Nier Automata, and the community fixed it in 48 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. Publishers these days have decided that deadlines are deadlines. When they have a ship date of Black Friday, that game better be on store shelves on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Which means that it needs to be at gold printing in August,
October or something.
It's August, because they've got to. Yeah, but 2 to 3 months ahead of that date is when they need to be sending off their master executable to get printed and labels made and boxes made, all that stuff, so they can get it out. And so yeah, they and then once that goes out, then they're like, okay, you got 2 months to start making bug fixes and everything, and get this game playable on Black Friday. Yeah, the game's on the shelves, but it's not playable. So you got 2 months to make it playable, and then you can start working on fixing all the things that are unpleasing. But
so.
This behavior that's absolutely terrible. And
I guess my suggestion to AAA developers, or companies rather, like Warner Brothers, who consistently release shoddy PC ports, like completely unplayably broken Batman, Warner Brothers. Why would you do that to Batman? Anyway, I would take the 10 people that you have who make PC ports, or the one janitor that you pulled out of the janitorial closet, to fire them. Find the gamers who are making these mods that fix your game within a couple of days, and like hire them. Even just contract them to make the PC version.
Yeah.
Is that a crazy idea? I don't know.
And considering a lot of these games, like PC ports, they're using engines that were originally PC engines that got where PC was the primary target, and then consoles came secondary. But for some reason, they don't know how to go the other direction with this. But man, yeah. I had a thought.
Matthew says my idea has actually happened in the past, and I'm glad it has, because the unsung heroes of who fix PC games should be getting their due. Damn it!
Yeah.
And not just in Kotaku stories that say, "Hey, this person fixed a Warner Brothers game in 2 days. Good on this person. Yeah, good on this person. Pay them. We're doing your job."
Exactly. And
at least give them some swag, like a T-shirt or something.
You would think. And but there is another complaint that I have, and this has to do with certain game developers that use the exact same engine for all their games as they go along, but every single game has all the same bugs in it. And I'm looking at you, Lego Games and Traveler's Tales.
Yeah.
You guys have been using the exact same engine.
Publishes.
Yeah, the exact same engine since the original. What was it? Lego Star Wars was the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the same engine. You've updated it for new
Yeah.
consoles and faster PCs and stuff as you've gone along, but that's all you've done. You haven't fixed any of the stupid bugs that were in Lego Star Wars that are now in Lego. What are they on? Batman 3 or
Lego
whatever, or
Rogue
Lego
One.
City Undercover. You know, it's like these bugs are in there. Fix them.
Yeah. It's like, so.
Uh,
Well, I feel better now.
don't we all?
Yeah,
It
it's
would
just
feel even better if you guys would actually fix your things. And this was actually one of the things that was in the PC Gamers Bill of Rights. Was way back when that came out. Brad Wardell, I think, was the guy who did it. He one of the points on there was, "Thou shalt release games that aren't broken on day one," or something along those lines. If you have to release a day one patch to make your game playable, you're doing something bad, and gamers shouldn't have to deal with that. And yeah, and that applies now to console gamers.
yeah. Let me here, Laxter, since you were asking, let me promote my own stuff real quick. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Oh crap! Because YouTube changed the thing to do editing when I so copy. Where's the link? No, I don't want to copy the image. Copy link address. That's what I want. Because I don't want you editing my video. That would be no good. I think I can just take the
I don't
edit
think
out
he
of there.
could because he
Not signed in. But anyway,
yeah.
Laxer's asking what are some of the bugs. I did a video a couple years ago called "The Bugs and Glitches of the Lego Movie Video Game," which documents some of the bugs in that game. It's like it's a 10-minute video, and really it only covers about half of the bugs I found in that game, and that's the shortest Lego game by far. Um, but a lot of this stuff, one of the big noticeable problems, and it's not a bug as such, as just an issue with the way the game engine works, is characters are kind of floaty and slippery. You try and hop onto a box and you'll just kind of slide off the side, which is weird for a cube. Which also becomes a problem when there's a lot of levels that take place. Like there's a cliff edge, and if you get too close to the cliff edge, you'll just kind of slide right off, and then you'll respawn right on the edge of the cliff and slide right off and slide right off. And it just keeps going. And you're desperately trying to, each time you respawn, to kind of inch your way back away from the edge of the cliff.
I've actually had that happen to me a couple of times in Lego Indiana Jones, where in some levels there's this cliff and you would get stuck on the edge of the cliff and you'd keep falling off, and you had to work your way up, and that's a bug apparently that still exists. If you fall off a cliff, you should not spawn in the same spot that dropped you off the cliff. The game should register that and say, oh, we should move them 3 pixels north so that they don't slide off the cliff when they respawn.
Yeah. Although I have to say, I love the Lego games. I have all of them, and they're so much fun.
Yes, they are fun. They're very clever.
They're so fun. I put up with all these damn bugs. I still complain about them, but I still buy the games because they're just so charming and just so fun to play. Usually, there are a couple duds, but I disagree with Kratos, who says the Lego City Undercover is crappy. The game is fun. It's a really great game. Really, it still has the various problems that you have in every Lego game. I mean, if you can't get beyond the problems that are in every Lego game, you're not going to like Lego City Undercover. But design, story, gameplay wise, solid game, a lot of fun. Really, the biggest problem with that one is the insane loading times. Luckily, it only usually loads when you go from the hub world into a level and then back out again. But oh my god, the load times are a little over a minute. They're like 70 seconds on average. And the Switch, you thought the Switch version would fix that. It does by about 10 or 15 seconds. So now they're like 50, 55 seconds. It's still obnoxious, but man. But anyway, I still really like the game. But had any shops near? Are you responding to someone?
13U
Oh,
Cube
you're
asking
responding
where
to
to get an
someone else.
original
Yeah.
NES. Golly, for less than 80,
eBay, Amazon. Someone's got to be selling
you
one.
you could probably get
Garage sales,
a
yard sales.
yeah, you could get the original model for under 80. That's not that big of a deal.
You can probably
The
get it
top
easier than you
loaders
can
are
get the
going.
NES Classic Edition.
Yeah, definitely. The top loader NESs are going to run you more than $75, probably $100, depending on where you go, because those top loaders are in high demand.
Are they? Hmm.
Yeah, because they
Well,
don't.
they're probably less fail prone, less moving
Yeah,
parts.
they're less fail prone. The pin connectors don't wear out as quickly as the
Well,
front loader.
it's a solid plug that the cart slips into rather than those grippy things that the
Yeah,
thing that you the original version, right? Because the
yeah,
original version has a the one where you slide it in and push it down and then close the door on it. That one had the little pins that are like this, and when you push it in, they close and are like on a spring, so they hold the contact strip. But they'll start to the spring will less spring, which is why
yeah.
my NES a lot of times over the years after it's stopped working consistently, one of my tricks to fixing it was to put a game in, push it down, and then jam another game on top of it to hold it down, and that would force the connectors to hold on to the contacts, and that almost always worked.
Yeah, a Game Genie was also a fix that I've had in growing up.
Oh,
Is
that's true. Yeah.
you just stick the game in the Game Genie, stick it in there. Even if you don't use the Game Genie, you can just it helped me a lot. But yeah, but the pin connectors aren't that hard to replace on the original NES if you're so inclined. You just need the proper screwdrivers. Um,
The top loader NES only has RF, not composite. Really? Yeah, that's
I did
surprising
not
if
know
true.
that. Yeah, did not know that. Um, but yeah, let's see. I really wish we had a. Did we ever get a different model of the Super Nintendo? I can't
Yeah,
picture a different model in my
yeah,
head.
we did.
Um, okay, but yeah, I love the Super Nintendo has always been an awesome looking console. I like it, but yeah, that's weird about that top loader NES.
Yeah, the purple highlights was even cool, and then they went all purple with the GameCube. It's like too much purple.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, that is our show for this week, and we managed to not blabber for 2 hours, so that's good. So
Yeah.
let us plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen, Eisen is how you spell the last name, which you'll need to know if you want to find my YouTube videos. So plug my name into YouTube and watch away. Most recent video is, I don't know, what I did something. Q and Andrew, that's what it was. I talked about how I would feel if Nintendo went third party, if it pulled a Sega and dropped out of the hardware business and went full third party. I would be sad. But you
Yeah.
can watch that. And also, I pinned since annotations are going the way of the dodo, there were a couple things that I didn't. It's an unscripted video, so I wasn't as eloquent in some of the communication of some of my thoughts as I would have been had it been scripted. But I can't add annotations anymore, so because I'm using the new end screen. So the pinned comment on that video has a few additions and observations that I talk about if you want a little bit more info on that topic. And also I just did a that 20-minute deep dive into third-party games on the Switch from the initial infographic that Nintendo published last October when it
October.
announced
Yeah.
the Switch. It said, look at all these companies we're partnering with. And I thought, well, now that the Switch is out, let's take a look at these companies and see what they've released and announced so far. Turns out 50 games, at least as of a week or so ago when there's actually been more since. But so did I kill the fly in the video? No, it knew its life was in danger and left or hid very well because I didn't see it after the video. There's a part in the video where I get distracted by something buzzing around like, get out of my house, foul flying insect. and I think it did leave because I haven't seen it since. So,
That's good.
oh yeah, and you can follow me
It,
on Twitter.
it landed in your fruit bowl and you ate it.
It's high in protein. So follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen, where I make 140 character witticisms. Sure, that's how we'll describe it. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night. You can follow my game development work at DK_gaming, and it's divinenightgaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, you can check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. More stuff is going on Twitter than the website. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time to work on articles. As if you check out Random Tower, you've noticed it's been all podcasts the last few weeks. So, but
Yeah.
hopefully more content soon. I do have stuff I want to write, and some of it's actually timely, but it's all a matter
By
of
the time I get around to it, it's not. I'm like, hey, let's talk about Resident Evil 7.
Bob. So I don't know that reference. I couldn't tell you if you're
Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith.
Yeah. I've never seen it. So
you've never seen any of Kevin Smith's Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Bob, Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2.
I don't know. None of
none of them.
Never seen any of them. So
all right. Well, anyway, that is our show for the week. Hope you have enjoyed, and we'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.